Many people in our conversations have been talking about where they are in life, that life isn't as good as it should be, or it could be, or they would wish it to be, or whatever the situation may be. And yet, you ask them, why isn't it the way you want it to be? Is this just a fantasy or a thought process, or is there something missing in what you're telling me? Because quite often people will say flippant things and it covers up a whole multitude of other events in their life of where they want to go and why it's not like it is or whatever. And so you really can't take the reply as something quite sort of stable. It covers up lots of things. One of the aspects of life is you may be going through life at any moment in time, which is not that good and wholesome. You may feel a little low, a little down and out. You may feel like you're not getting anywhere. You may feel you've tried a lot and it's failed. You may feel like you've been looking for something and you can't find whatever that something is. You may feel that there's something you're missing, but what it is, you've racked your brain and looked at magazines and newspapers and scoured YouTube for things and nothing has resonated well. You may have looked at your friends and family and sort of looked and seen what they're doing and made an assessment as to, well, I've done this and they've done that, but they seem to be doing this, or they're all right, and all of these kind of things. And it's all whizzing round aimlessly in your mind. You're churning it over again and again and again. And you're coming out with different answers, none of them acceptable, and none of them actually getting you any further forward. There's a lot going on in anybody's life at any one time, and your emotional base and how you are, your mental ability, is very important as to how you view life and how you see life. Because if your mental state is low, then everything around you will appear to loom large. And when it looms large, it's actually quite oppressive and it's not very exciting, because then you actually internalize that because you're looking at something and thinking about it, and then you think about it and you regurgitate it in your mind and you think about it a bit more, and it just stagnates, and there you are, and that's your life, stagnating. You're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere. Everything you touch or do or see is all dull and boring and insular, and you think you're missing out, but in reality you're absolutely missing out on nothing. There's nothing hiding itself from you. Everything is there. Everything within you need to do whatever you want to do is there. It's in place. Everything around you is in place. It's available not only to you, but to everybody else on planet Earth. They have to do exactly what you need to do and get off your behind and start making real progress, and not pathetic sort of half-hearted whinging progress. Oh, I've tried this. Well, I looked at that. Well, I asked this person. Well, this is nothing. This is just you making excuses and hiding behind a weak facade. You've really got to get up and make an effort. You've got to look at what you're missing in life, or what you think you're missing, because sometimes what you think you're missing, you're not. What you are missing, you're missing the point. And that's something which is a fantasy within your imagination. It doesn't actually exist in reality. So you've got to actually think, why am I like this? You know, I've done this and this was so good a long time ago and I really used to enjoy life. Well, life evolves and things go through storms, tempests, tsunamis, droughts, rain, floods, goodness knows what. And life is just the same. Life does exactly that too. And you've got to weather the storm and you've got to go through them. Now, if there is something intrinsic which is missing within your life, you are the expert in knowing what it is, because nobody else knows. They're not going to live your life and they don't particularly care. They've got enough on their own plate without your sort of whinging and moaning and telling them why it isn't good and all this kind of thing. So don't bother people, don't upset other people, because you'll get a very cool response from them, because they'll get fed up in the end that you're not doing anything yourself, and then you'll feel even more disheartened and out of sorts. When you are feeling in this mood that you don't know what to do, where to go, you've got to really think about what are your major strengths. And you've got to be honest about these, not flippant about them. Think, well, I don't do this for a living, but I'm really good at painting, or I'm really good at cooking, or I'm really good at car mechanics, or I'm really good at science, but I do something completely different. I work in a store doing this, and I work in something doing that. And so you've got to actually assimilate yourself what you are good at. And not what you think you're good at, what you are good. You know you have an aptitude for something, because when you do that something, you have a nice feeling inside. It resonates well in your mind. It gives you that all-over feeling of, yes, I'm really like this. It's exciting. It's that sort of tingling effect. And that's something which you need to hold on to. And you've got to actually look at what you're doing now. If you are doing anything, if you're not doing anything now, why aren't you doing anything now? And don't say, well, I've tried everything and I've been everywhere and it's difficult in the job market. Yes, it is. But maybe you've got to do some lateral thinking and not some vertical thinking. Maybe you've got to look at other areas on a lateral level and go sideways before you can move forward. Maybe you need some more information. Maybe you actually need to change your mental process of thought, of how you look at life and how life you think looks at you. Because if you look at life through a jaundiced perspective, that's what it's going to be. Nothing has changed. This is just your perspective. The place where you live, the people outside are going about their daily life, doing ever what they do. Planes are flying, boats are sailing, cars are moving. All of these things, nothing has changed. It is your perspective. And you've got to really, really get yourself out of that rut and change it. When you're looking at something which is not quite right, you must understand that if it's not concordant and it's discordant, why is it discordant? Why isn't it resonating well? What is wrong with what you are seeing? Why is it now not as good as it was before? And again, you could have moved forward, you could have evolved, and when you do evolve, sometimes things of the past are of no longer any interest. In fact, a lot of people around you, even friends, may be of no interest anymore. And that's okay. You don't have to dump them. You just move gently forward, and eventually there'll be a space between you. And that's okay. You've gone forward. It may be that they've gone forward and left you behind. Maybe that they've got a better job with more money and do more things and buy more things and go more places, and you don't. And therefore, the conversation is getting a bit dull and stilted now, and both sides have to make allowances for each other. Well, that's all right for some time, but not on a regular basis, because then it becomes a chore. And when things become chores, they become stressed and strainful, and then you can't do anything. You find faults, and you feel, oh no, I don't want to do this, oh, I'm only doing it because I'm bored, and all of this kind of thing. That's not a good attitude to have, because you're going to make yourself even more upset and even more further from actually finding a solution. You've got to really make the best of who you are, where you are, and it could be very much a soul-searching experience, something you may uncover which is not very pleasant. And you think, oh, well, I'm a bit like that. Well, in that situation, I'm not very good, because none of us are perfect at everything. But once you've actually understood all these things, you feel better for it, because now that, as opposed to being negative, is a strength. You feel better because, yes, I do feel like that in those situations. No, I don't respond well in those situations. Yes, I do feel out of my depth in those situations. And knowing that gives you the ability and the understanding to move forward with real positive steps, some real forethought and stamina and guts and acumen and all of these kind of things. So when you're next feeling in a bit of a rut and you're not going forward, you are the one who's going to get yourself out of it. Even if you won the lottery, you've got to buy a ticket. You've got to be in it to win it. You can't just expect these things to happen. And then when you do win it, you've got to understand what you're going to do with it, because most people who win the lottery go bust within about 5 years, because they do the most stupid, pathetic things with their money and with other people with their money as well. So when you feel in this rut, look at yourself and find the answer. You are the answer to your own problems. Other people will help you, but they cannot do what you can do. You're the only one that can walk in your shoes. And make sure you do walk in your shoes and you don't slouch on a couch watching TV, having crisps and sodas and beers and things and wishing and wondering, because you'll get nowhere at all except fat. So do it. Do this for yourself. Try and make a difference to your life, and a small difference every single day will make a total difference in the long term. It will change what you do, how you do it. Breaking from routine changes your thought process. It changes your metabolism. It changes how you look at life and do things. Make sure you keep to this regime of changing things. Change. Then all of a sudden things will fit together. It takes a little time, but if you believe in yourself, you love yourself and you're worthwhile, then you will do it.